Hi everyone, if you're struggling not getting success, then this video is for you. Nowadays, there's one truth in life that nobody can change. Your success is in your hands. It is not in the hands of luck. The only person who has the power to decide your future is you. But the question is, do you believe in yourself? Today, we'll talk about it. My name is Muniba Mazari, and I'm a motivational speaker. If you find this video fruitful, then you can appreciate me by like and subscribe and start a new journey with me. Let's start the topic. There comes a time in life when we sit in silence and ask, why do I keep attracting the same kind of people, the same kind of pain, the same kind of patterns? And the answer doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within. You see, we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. You can want love, you can want respect, you can want peace, but if your heart is still bruised, if your soul is still echoing with the voices of your past, you will attract mirrors, not miracles. You attract what you embody, not what you desire. This is a truth that many of us overlook as we chase dreams, people, and outcomes with desperation in our hearts. We think that if we want something badly enough, if we desire it with all our being, it will come to us. But the universe doesn't respond to longing. It responds to frequency. It responds to alignment. And alignment comes from who you are, not what you wish for. Desire alone is not enough. You can desire love with every part of your soul, but if your heart is filled with fear, self-doubt, and insecurity, you will attract situations and people who reflect those internal states. You can dream of success, but if you are consumed by procrastination, comparison, or resentment, you will keep meeting failure in different forms. You can wish for peace, but if you carry chaos inside, the world will always feel loud, unstable, and overwhelming. This is not a punishment, it's a mirror. Life doesn't give us what we fantasize about, it gives us what we are ready for. And readiness isn't about wanting something, it's about being something. Wanting to be loved doesn't mean you are open to love. Many people want love, but deep down they don't trust it. They build walls, not doors. They say they're waiting for the right person, but they are still carrying the pain of the wrong ones. That pain becomes part of their energy, part of their identity, and they end up attracting people who match that pain rather than their desire for healing. When you understand this, everything begins to shift. You realize that you don't need to beg the universe to bring you something, you need to become it. You become love and love finds you. You become peace and peace surrounds you. You become abundance and opportunities flow your way, not because you chase them, but because you aligned with them. This shift isn't external, it's internal, and it is subtle but powerful. Imagine planting a seed. You don't get fruit by shouting at the ground or demanding a harvest. You get it by nurturing the soil, by giving it sunlight and water, by trusting the process. Your life is no different. You can't demand better outcomes while neglecting your inner world. You must do the work. Not for others, not for appearances, but for yourself. Because when your inner world is aligned, your outer world reflects it naturally. Many people become frustrated because they don't see results quickly. They think they're doing something wrong. But the truth is, change doesn't happen when you simply want something different. It happens when you become someone different. You can't attract kindness while being bitter. You can't expect truth while hiding behind masks. The world sees you as you see yourself. And what you believe you are, deep down becomes the foundation of what you attract. You attract not from your surface wants, but from your deepest beliefs. If you believe you're not worthy, you will subconsciously reject anything that contradicts that belief. If you believe you're not enough, you'll settle for situations that confirm it. That's why healing is so vital. Because healing isn't just about feeling better, it's about becoming better. And when you become better, you begin to attract better. This is not about pretending or performing. It's not about faking confidence or putting on a show. It's about doing the quiet, often unseen work of becoming. It's about choosing growth over comfort, clarity over confusion, truth over illusion. It's about rising each day and asking, am I becoming the person who belongs to the life I dream of? Because that's where the power is. Not in the wanting, but in the becoming. Your energy shapes your experiences. Every moment you live, every room you enter, every interaction you have, these are all influenced by the energy you carry within you. It's not always about what you say, what you do, or even what you look like. People may not remember your words, but they will always remember how you made them feel. That feeling, that invisible force, is your energy. It travels ahead of you, lingers after you leave, and speaks louder than your voice ever can. Energy is not some abstract concept reserved for spiritual conversations. It's real, tangible, and incredibly powerful. It's the mood you project, the vibration you emit, the emotional state you dwell in day after day. Whether it's rooted in peace or pain, gratitude or resentment, your energy becomes the lens through which you experience life and how life responds to you in return. Think about it. When you wake up feeling anxious, heavy, or angry, everything seems off. The day drags. Small inconveniences feel like major obstacles. People seem colder. Opportunities seem distant. But when you're centered, when you wake with gratitude, hope, and calmness, things flow differently. You speak softer, listen deeper, and connect better. And because of that, the world around you adjusts. You notice kindness. You attract understanding. You meet people who reflect that calm. Your energy is the filter between you and the world. Change the filter and everything looks different. Often, we're taught to chase results. Fix the outside. Get the job, get the relationship, get the applause, but we're rarely taught to examine our energy. And yet, our energy is what determines the quality of everything we experience. It's not just about setting goals, it's about becoming a person who can carry them with grace. It's not just about finding the right partner, it's about becoming someone who can hold space for love. Because no matter how perfect something appears on the outside, it will never feel right if your energy is out of alignment on the inside. You don't attract peace by demanding quiet. You attract peace by being still within. You don't invite joy by forcing smiles. You invite joy by releasing resistance and allowing the present moment to be enough. Your energy doesn't lie. You can say all the right words, wear the right clothes, do all the right things, but if your energy is wounded, fearful, or bitter, that is what the world will respond to. People feel your energy before they understand your story. You could have been through unimaginable pain, and yet if you've done the inner work, your energy speaks of resilience, not victimhood. You could have failed 1,000 times and still walk into a room radiating confidence. Not because of the absence of failure, but because of the presence of self-belief. That's the difference energy makes. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Are you present with your emotions? Are you aware of your state? Are you conscious of what you're bringing into every space you enter? Energy is not fixed. It shifts with your thoughts, your habits, your environment. The way you speak to yourself creates your energy. The music you listen to, the food you eat, the people you surround yourself with, these all affect your frequency. So does the way you forgive or don't. So does the way you love or withhold. Your energy is a reflection of your internal world, and your experiences are reflections of your energy. You may think things are happening to you, but many times they are responding to you, to your state, to your presence, to your vibration. Healing yourself changes your environment. Not because the world around you suddenly transforms, but because your perception, your boundaries, and your energy evolve. When you begin the journey of healing, you're not just mending what was broken, you're reprogramming how you respond, how you interpret, and how you show up. The same situations may arise, the same people may be present, but the way you engage with them shifts completely. Before healing, many things feel personal. A harsh comment pierces your heart. A rejection feels like a confirmation of unworthiness, and distance from someone feels like abandonment. But as you heal, you begin to see things differently. That harsh comment, it reflects their pain, not your value. That rejection, it's redirection, not reflection of your identity. That distance, it's space that allows you to reconnect with yourself. Healing gives you the strength to separate what happens from what it means. And that in itself changes everything. You start to notice that your triggers lose their power. What once would have spiraled into days of overthinking now becomes a moment of breath and reflection. You stop begging for explanations from others and start listening to your own inner voice. You stop trying to fix everyone and start holding space for your own peace. That internal shift echoes into the external world. Relationships that were once heavy become lighter, or they fall away entirely, and both outcomes are okay. Because your sense of self no longer depends on how others treat you. When you heal, you stop operating from survival mode. You're no longer reacting from a wounded place. You're responding with clarity, with purpose, with calm. That shift invites different conversations, different people, and different energies into your life. Your healed self becomes a filter that no longer allows chaos to take root. You set boundaries not from anger, but from self-respect. You choose solitude not out of fear, but out of reverence for your own energy. You love not to be completed, but to be connected. It's not always a loud process. In fact, healing is often quiet. It's in the moments you choose to pause instead of react. It's in the way you now speak to yourself when no one's listening. It's in the choices you make that honor your growth instead of your patterns. And as you shift internally, life begins to reflect it externally. You start to feel more grounded. The right people feel drawn to your calm, not your chaos. The right opportunities come not because you chased them, but because you're now in alignment with them. Healing creates space. Space for joy, for creativity, for meaningful connection. You find yourself appreciating the little things more. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the softness in your own voice, the peace that comes from saying no without guilt. And as you expand internally, the world you once thought was limited begins to open. Your environment, your daily life, your inner circle, they all start to mirror your healing. Not because you force them to, but because who you are now only resonates with what supports your wholeness. You may lose people, you may outgrow places, you may walk away from familiar chaos, but in doing so, you find something deeper, yourself. You find a version of you that doesn't settle, doesn't shrink, doesn't chase validation. That version of you becomes the architect of your life, and slowly you build a life that feels like home. Healing yourself shifts you from surviving to truly living. It turns pain into purpose, confusion into clarity, and fear into quiet courage. Wholeness is more powerful than wishful thinking. We live in a world that glorifies desires and dreams, where vision boards and affirmations are celebrated as the roadmap to success. But desires alone are not enough. You can spend your days wishing for a better life, a healthy relationship, or a deeper sense of purpose. But if you're fragmented inside, your wishes will not carry the power to bring those things into your reality. A wholeness, coming back to yourself, integrating the broken pieces, accepting the messy, the real, the raw, is what gives your dreams a foundation to stand on. There is a difference between wanting something and being ready for it. Wholeness prepares you for what you desire. It grounds your dreams in self-awareness, in resilience, in truth. When you are whole, you don't chase things out of desperation. You attract them through alignment. You no longer place your value in outcomes. Instead, you carry your value with you wherever you go. You stop needing validation to feel seen. You stop waiting for someone else to complete your story. You become the author, the narrator, and the main character of your life. Wholeness isn't perfection. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about being at peace with who you are and where you are, even as you grow. It means acknowledging your scars without letting them define you. It means holding space for your emotions without letting them control you. It's waking up in the morning and feeling enough, not because everything around you is perfect, but because you've made peace within yourself. Wishful thinking often comes from a place of lack. It says, if only I had this, I would feel better. It puts happiness in the future, in something or someone outside of you. Wholeness, on the other hand, says, I am enough right now, even as I work toward more. It removes the desperation and invites intention. It makes room for joy in the now, not just in the someday. And that shift changes everything. When you operate from wholeness, you stop comparing your path to others. You trust your timing. You understand that your journey doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be meaningful. You stop measuring your worth against what you lack and start celebrating what you carry. Your confidence no longer comes from compliments, but from the quiet knowing that you are already complete. That inner security becomes a force, subtle yet unshakable. The energy of wholeness is magnetic. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't try to prove its value. It simply is. And that presence attracts the right opportunities, the right relationships, the right energy without force. When you are whole, you don't need to beg for love because you already embody it. You don't need to chase peace because you walk with it. You don't have to perform to be accepted because you've already accepted yourself. Wishful thinking often keeps you stuck in cycles of waiting. Waiting for things to change, people to see you, life to reward you. But wholeness empowers you to take aligned action. It helps you show up fully, even when you're afraid. It teaches you that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to keep showing up anyway. You become more focused, more grounded, and more intentional. Your energy becomes rooted, not scattered. Your choices become conscious, not reactive. There's a quiet power in someone who knows who they are, in someone who is no longer trying to fill a void, but instead is creating from a place of fullness. That power doesn't scream, it doesn't compete, it simply moves forward, one authentic step at a time. Wholeness doesn't guarantee a life without challenges, but it does give you the strength to face those challenges without losing yourself in them. It gives you the ability to bend without breaking, to feel deeply without drowning, to dream freely without running from the present moment. Self-worth is the foundation of true connection. Before you can truly connect with anyone else, whether in friendship, in love, or in shared purpose, you must first connect with yourself. The relationship you have with yourself determines the quality of every other relationship in your life. When your sense of worth is rooted in who you are, not what you do or what others think of you, you stop attaching your identity to external validation. Stop bending yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you, and you begin to show up authentically without apology. When you lack self-worth, connection becomes performance. You find yourself seeking approval, chasing affection, and constantly fearing rejection. Your actions are filtered through the hope of being accepted, rather than the confidence of being enough. You shrink yourself to avoid conflict. You silence your needs to avoid being seen as too much. And slowly you begin to lose your sense of self in the process. But when you know your worth, you no longer seek connection out of fear or loneliness. You seek it from a place of abundance, not desperation. Self-worth allows you to set boundaries without guilt. It teaches you that saying no does not make you unkind, that protecting your peace is not selfish, it's sacred. You begin to recognize when your energy is being drained and when your presence is not being honored. You stop trying to fix people or convince them of your value. Instead, you let your energy speak and you walk away from what does not align with your growth. And you stop asking, am I enough for them? And start asking, are they enough for me? When you carry a deep sense of worth, you naturally attract connections that honor you. People who see you don't just appreciate your light, they also respect your shadows. They don't love you for what you do for them, but for who you are when you're most real. And you, in turn, begin to show up more fully. You no longer feel the need to wear masks or play roles. You feel safe to be honest, to be vulnerable, to be human. Because self-worth gives you the courage to be seen, even when you're imperfect. True connection cannot exist without honesty. And honesty requires the kind of self-trust that only comes from knowing your worth. When you believe in your value, you stop over-explaining yourself. You speak with clarity, not fear. You share your truth without editing it to be more acceptable. And in doing so, you create space for others to do the same. You stop building relationships on a foundation of people-pleasing and start building them on the solid ground of mutual respect. Self-worth also teaches you that being alone is not the same as being lonely. When you are rooted in your own values, solitude becomes a sanctuary, not a sentence. You stop filling your calendar just to avoid your own thoughts. You stop jumping into relationships just to feel needed. Instead, you start enjoying your own company. You learn to nourish your soul in silence, to hear your own voice without outside noise. And from that place of peace, you become a better friend, partner, leader. When you walk into a room with self-worth, you no longer ask for permission to take up space. You don't wait for someone to acknowledge you to feel like you matter. You bring your wholeness with you. That kind of presence is powerful. It doesn't need to prove, it simply is. It speaks without words. It creates trust, safety, and inspiration. Because people are drawn to those who have made peace with themselves. One comes from Judaism, and it's about building confidence. Everything rests on your conscience. Atoms come from self-worth. It's not about arrogance or superiority. It's about quiet confidence, about knowing that you deserve love, not because of what you offer, but because of who you are. And when that belief becomes your foundation, every connection you build becomes more genuine, more empowering, and more lasting. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe you deserve. This truth can be uncomfortable, but it is also incredibly liberating. So many of us spend years chasing dreams, relationships, and opportunities, only to find ourselves blocked at every turn. And often, the real obstacle isn't the world outside of us. It's the inner belief that we are not truly worthy of the things we desire. We say we want love, success, peace, but deep down there's a quiet voice whispering, "Not you. You're not enough." Until that belief is healed, what we want remains out of reach. Your beliefs are like magnets. They pull in experiences that confirm what you already feel about yourself. If you believe you are undeserving of healthy love, you will find yourself entangled in relationships that reinforce your unworthiness. If you believe that success is for others but not for someone like you, you'll unconsciously sabotage your efforts, even when opportunity knocks. This is not about blame, it's about awareness. As once you see the pattern, you can begin to change it. The beliefs you hold are not always your fault. They were shaped by childhood experiences, by environments that taught you how to see yourself, by moments when you were told, either directly or indirectly, that your dreams were too big or that your presence was too much. Maybe you grew up around criticism more than encouragement. Maybe you were taught to put others first at the cost of your own needs. These lessons root themselves in the mind and echo through adulthood. But they are not permanent. Beliefs can be rewritten. Rewriting those beliefs starts with attention, with asking yourself gently but honestly, what do I truly believe I deserve? And not just what you say out loud, but what you feel deep in your bones. When someone compliments you, do you receive it or deflect it? When a good opportunity comes your way, do you embrace it or doubt whether you're ready? These are the quiet moments that reveal what's really operating beneath the surface. They show you where the healing needs to begin. Believing you deserve good things doesn't mean you feel confident every moment of the day. It doesn't mean you never have doubts. It means you no longer let those doubts lead your decisions. It means you speak to yourself with compassion instead of criticism. You begin to trust that you are allowed to take up space, to want more, to walk away from less. You understand that deserving doesn't mean perfect, it means human. Flawed, learning, growing, and still worthy. As you begin to shift your internal beliefs, the external begins to respond. You stop settling for crumbs because you know you are not starving. You stop tolerating half-hearted efforts from others because you've raised the standard for how you treat yourself. You stop waiting for someone to choose you because you have already chosen yourself. And in doing so, you create a life that reflects your worth, not your wounds. It's a process. Some days you'll feel brave, other days you'll feel small, but every day you have the chance to choose again, to rewrite the script that was handed to you. To stand in front of the mirror and say, I deserve more. Not with arrogance, but with honesty. Because wanting more is not greedy, it's a reflection of self-respect. And when you begin to embody that respect, you move differently. You make decisions that align with your future, not your fears. You surround yourself with people who see your light, not just your labor. You stop proving, performing, pleasing, and start being. The most powerful shift happens when you stop asking, "Do I deserve this?" and start declaring, "I was made for this." That declaration isn't about ego, it's about truth. It's about owning your story, your effort, your journey, and knowing that the life you want is not something to chase, but something to align with through belief, through action, through the quiet daily decision to believe in your own worth.